journey. Like everyone or most of us, we've had experiences sometimes with people who want to do stuff to us. We get bullied from time to time. And, you know, one of the first things that I wanted was, how do I defend myself? And when I got to college, I decided I'd like to try the martial arts. And the first art I tried was Karate-Do, Shotokan Karate-Do. That worked well enough, although I never had the chance to use it. Thank you. I wouldn't know what would have happened. Although, yes, the Karate Kid was popular during time, the early version. Huh? And for those of you who are about my age, you'd know who was starring there. Now, there was something lacking. You know, because it was, with all due respect to the originators of Karate-Do, it was something not within the scope of what I understand my own culture to be. And I still was learning much about what this being Filipino was all about. And things began to shift a bit when my father brought home from Singapore a book called The Filipino Martial Arts by a well-known Filipino-American guru or teacher named Deibu-Sensei, and that really blew me away. I said, you know, I gotta find some way to learn here. And you know, this was the supreme irony of it all that really got to me. Here are foreign, well, we call them foreigners. They're natives in their own land, of course. But in another country, these people could advertise their art, and a lot of people come to them. And in case you're wondering about the significance of why I mentioned Deibu-Sensei, it was he who taught the people who choreographed the different action movies that we see today. The men who choreographed the Born Identity, the men who choreographed the fight scenes for The Hunted, and all of them, including 300, they were all students of Deibu-Sensei. Those movies are Filipino martial arts, Arnis. And meantime, back here, where do I find an Arnis school? But, you know, you don't get to find an Arnis teacher except by personal referral. And one of my classmates in law school introduced me to his teacher. First in judo and in Arnis, and that got me started. Among all the other arts I've tried, why Arnis? Well, here's why. It provided a unique connection to Filipino identity. What was it about the art? You know, what is this thing we call Arnis? It's such a unique art. What does the term Arnis mean anyway? Well, the word Arnis comes from the Espanol term arnes, meaning armor or arms, or you know, the stuff that we carry with us. But the Arnis as the martial art actually refers to an indigenous martial art. It centers on the use of, well, sticks. I didn't bring my sword today, and it's going to be a bit scary. And the use of knives, and of course, applications with the empty hand. So. And historically speaking, this art, this indigenous art, is devised from traditional forms of combat mixed with the Spanish sword methods taught to the militia. Yes, you'll be surprised. The Spaniards did teach their own fighting tactics to the local militia in the towns that they had already occupied. And this fusion results in the contemporary forms we call Arnis today. Now, yes, this too became a big deal for me. I learned how to identify with the Philippines with the word Filipino through this. It was a part of our history, but something that we don't always recognize. And we don't even think that it was that important because it is a physical art and we value the intellectual, but actually this is very important. This is a balance. And here, Arnis played a role in our history because it was used in various resistances against the foreign invaders in World War II. Battalions of infantrymen were known as the bolomen. They had lack of rifles, but the local fighters knew how to use their weapons, and they used this and they were known as the bolomen. Now, when we talk about the benefits of martial arts, it's easy to say, oh, well, you know, this is like any other martial art. You learn self-protection. Your health improves because you keep on moving, aerobic conditioning. You learn how to be calm. You learn how to be self-disciplined. Anyone from any martial art could claim the same thing. So what made Arnis special for me? Yes, okay. Now, here is where we see, again, as I said, there's a different way to look at our culture. Here, I found a warrior ethos, similar to, but not the same as the Bushido of Japan, okay? Or what we know, the Wulin of China, the martial way of China. Or in fact, the code of knighthood in Europe. No. Similar but not the same because there are a different set of stories, there are different circumstances that shape its growth. How was this exemplified? Mythology and folklore. How many of you would know, if you're from the Visayas, how many of you have heard the names Humadapnon? This one. Labadunggon. Very good. Yes, mabuhay mga Bisaya. But this, Lamang. Hudhudi Aliguyon. Here are the warrior epics from the past, in which they exemplified an ethos that was common to many, many communities. So imagine this. We're practicing an art in which they have a linkage to both history and our culture. And it was unique because these things are echoed in the contemporary setting. Where did I find these sources? In my work as an anthropologist, we have to review ethnography. We have to read about we have to continue reviewing scholarly works about communities, and it was there. You just needed to piece it all together. See? What were these different things that we found out? Alright. What makes a warrior? A mandirigma in Tagalog, bagani, as a word used in the South among the Subanon and many other groups. Bagani, by the way, is a cognate of the word bayani. Think about it. The bagani is a warrior, the bayani as hero. Right? Here is an embodiment of the following qualities. A bagani must always be courageous, matapang. You can face any situation calmly. A bagani must be strong, kailangan malakas, to meet all sorts of challenges. A bagani must act with honor at all times, marangal. A bagani must be respectful of others, magalang. A bagani must be humble, magpakumbaba. Sometimes, when you practice these arts, the danger is that of pride. You become proud, you become arrogant, and then you become the target of everyone who wants to pull you down or test you because you're proud. Sometimes the act of humility also means you have to conceal what you have so as to be careful for what others might say or do and not to cause fear. Right? A bagani should be helpful to others, mapaglingkod. And a bagani loves their community. Almost always, the stories of these heroes center on the defense, the protection of a community against an outsider. And yes, there are female bagani too in our mythology. One of my favorite stories about the female warriors is the story of Matabagka and the deity of the wind. In this particular story, this young woman rescues her brother who was captured by the invaders. And how she did it is a story that's worth a telenovela if somebody would pick it up. Right? Now, a bagani is faithful. A bagani is a practitioner of whatever the religion is. And, this is again found in all of those indigenous stories. It is something that we need to go back to. Mapagpanampalataya. Now, what's so special about all of these? Couldn't we say that in any other warrior culture, these are the same? Yes, but here is a difference. Again, going back to our academic study in literature, here, there is a context. These values, these 8 warrior attributes that I've outlined here, they were born out of the research, but also they were born out of discussions with colleagues and scholars, and one of a close friend of mine who is also a fellow warrior. It's wonderful to have people to work with. They sharpen your mind. And that is an exemplification of what he did to sharpen me. It's in this slide. These values are not for individuals. They are for a community. They are for other people. This word, kapwa, means that you find yourself, you are part of others. You are not just for yourself alone, but you live your lives for other people. And in this warrior values, these eightfold warriors, of course, these are not the only ones, but these are the most prominent we've been able to find. These warrior values help you to understand what it means to truly live with one another in harmony, through pakikisama. To show mutual respect for people of unequal status, pakikitungo, and best of all, to react and to come together as a community when crisis erupts, the true meaning of pakikiramay. Here then is an essence of what I've learned along the path in trying my best to become a warrior. That these things challenge me because I grew up born in the mid-60s. Yes, I'll betray my age. There are many out here who are my batchmates. You know who you are. Being born in the mid-60s, I grew up in the 60s and 70s and early 80s with this popular notion that we Filipinos live the life of the small. The smallest fish, the smallest volcano, and even our national heroes were small. Why should these other people have all the tall ones? Why not us? Oh, well, okay. But should that have been why was that rather highlighted all the time? There's something not quite right here. What is missing in this? Not only that, but we were in our education from our time, we were taught a nation, a history of constant falling. The fall of Bataan, the fall of Corregidor, the fall of Manila. Oh my gosh. Now we are repeating that cycle all over again. The fall of our economy, the fall of our politics. What are we doing wrong here? And this is one of the things that Arnis taught me to look at. Is there something beyond this? Again, discussions with my father and with my friends help sharpen this thinking, because in the practice of this martial art, there is no place to be small, if that's what you want to think. There's no place for small thinking. You have to expand. You have to go big. We are forced to live beyond ourselves. We are forced to challenge these ideas. And one of the greatest lessons I've learned here is that these ideas, these challenges, worth a lot more when they are transferred to others. And this has been lately, slowly, between me and some of my friends, a small advocacy has been crystallizing. The use of these concepts in Filipino martial arts to challenge ideas of culture and to take that and use it to transform the immediate spaces and the places we work in and we live in. You don't have to be a martial artist to learn all of these. But you'd be good at least to know that there is another facet of being Filipino that we need to be aware of. And in this last part, we will be demonstrating the physical practice, what I've been talking about, how it means to work together, what it means to come together, what it means to help one another. I'd like to introduce my student and partner for this demonstration, Mr. Asher Pinzo. Okay. We'll be doing a set of 3 exercises from our school of Arnis. The first one is a controlled pattern we call Bigay Tama, which is to say, literally, giving the strike. Ready? This is the second exercise. This is what we call cadenilla. The chain of movements demonstrates flow, continuous defense, continuous movement once an initial defense has been made. This last one, we have to be more careful with this. When the adrenaline gets up, we call this offensa-defensa. It's a limited freestyle format of attack and defense. This time, we rely only on our own timing and our own skill. We have to be very controlled. Kaya nakikisama tayo. We have to watch out for one another. Nakikitungo tayo. And we'll be responsible for what we do. Otherwise, makikiramay tayo.